Well, good morning, everybody. I got a double header for you today. A film about the last president, number 47, as well as Trump's State of the Union from last night, in which he literally adopts the name of the Golden Dome that we had talked about last month. We said he would do that, and he has last night. We'll talk about all of that. Let's get into the show. We're going to start with the State of the Union address. Now, if you're a little bit confused, I did flip-flop the shows. I was going to have a premiere today instead, and I got all my show notes done, and so I went ahead with this much more relevant and pertinent information. Tomorrow's show will also tie into all this as well, but today we needed to get this State of the Union decoded. You guys are not going to believe this. So I've got the transcript here, which is probably the easiest way for us to get through this. And right off the bat, Trump announces the golden age again. 6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. The dawn of the golden age. Now, this is so loaded. We did a couple videos on what this golden age really entailed. We went back in history and looked at other golden ages of Egypt and other things. And a lot of things that are happening right now kind of tie into all this. But there's also Trump's Apollo golden age, right? In his penthouse. And there's literally a painting in his penthouse on the 66th floor that shows dawn, aurora of the dawn in the painting with Apollo. Let's get into this speech. Now, this speech, he says here, is 43 days into his presidency, this speech occurred on March 4th. So we have a 43 and a 34. That's a mirror. And we just talked about this 34, 43 in yesterday's Decode, didn't we? With Gene Hackman. He was 43 years old in that film that we saw about the lion and all that. And then in the Craven film, the guy was 34. So we have a 34, 43. So it's confirmed. Now, he later says in here, he doubles down on the COVID cure, right? And I expected him to do this because so many people are still asleep about this. He talks about him finding a cure. He said, I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest records. And these people sitting right here will not clap. So he's addressing the Democrats here. So he brags about finding the cure to the most devastating disease. He also brags about ending the electric vehicle mandate. But here's the problem. The rebate is still on the table. He's ended the mandate, but the $7,500 rebate for electric vehicles is still on the market. I had to look it up because I wasn't sure. Here it is right here. February 28, 2025. Here are the list of EPA's list of EVs eligible for the federal tax credit. So what this does is this creates an unfair market advantage for electric vehicles. Why should people who buy electric vehicle, still be getting $7,500? They shouldn't, and Trump needs to pull that off of the table. Now, this is not a Trump bashing channel, so we're going to talk about the wins as well, because there were a lot of good things that happened. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. Now, let's keep going in the speech here. Trump begged the Democrats to applaud his achievements and work together. But here's the thing. If they actually did that, that would actually send more alarm bells, because that would mean that the two parties have merged against the American people. Not that I agree with anything that the Democrats believe in, but if they were to all come together with the Republicans, that would be a huge red flag, wouldn't it? Trump also bragged about free speech in America. and ending government censorship. But on our level, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and every other platform still shadow bans unpopular opinions. So there is no free speech on our level. Maybe for political opponents, but not for people on our level. We should have seen a noticeable change for the better, shouldn't we have? But instead, it seems like it's gotten worse. I've had more videos flagged than ever before since Trump started the presidency. And that's even with us using coded language. In fact, most of what Trump talked about does very little to improve the lives on our level. There have been no huge tax breaks yet for the middle class. He talks about, wanting Congress to pass these tax breaks. But unless it is a huge tax break, then it's just normal fluctuation. Presidents do this all the time. They'll give a small tax break and expect everybody to be happy. You guys, the self-employment tax is still at 15%. Even if you make $5,000 or $10,000 in a year on 1099, 15% right off the top, regardless of what expenses you have, goes to the self-employment tax, which is Medicare, Medi-Cal. Then you pay taxes on that again when you get Social Security. When you retire, you pay again. Now Trump's trying to end that second Social Security tax. He's trying to end that. We'll see what happens. But for people like us, gas is up, food is up, and good jobs where, how like it used to be in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where an employer would train people into positions instead of these huge baseline requirements. All this education you have to have and all these things to get these jobs. Employers used to train people and find the people who could do the job, not people who had something on paper that said they could do a job. And until that changes, then I don't see any change. Now, again, we're only 43 days into this. Give it some time, I suppose. And we'll see how all this shakes out. But Trump talks about inflation in here, and he says that he inherited this inflation from, of course, Biden. But all of us know that inflation really started under Trump's first term at the end of his presidency with the $6.6 trillion that he spent for COVID relief bills, most of which went to the pharmaceutical companies. That's when food started going up. That's when building costs started going up. And I know this because I was in the middle of trying to basically build out these two sheds that I now call my home. And everything was double and triple in price. And that was in 2020, you guys. So that wasn't Biden. That was Trump. So, don't get timenesia. You have to remember the chain of events. Now, here's the dead giveaway that both sides are working together. Biden could have easily placed the blame on Trump for the inflation with his spending of $6.6 trillion. But Biden never did that, did he? Because then they would have to admit that they shouldn't have spent that money on the COVID relief bills, right? So this shows you that they won't call each other out on the real topics. So Biden basically ate the inflation and then made it worse, of course, with his spending and all the money that went to Ukraine and all that stuff. But both sides work together. So Trump is still blaming Biden for the inflation, and it's just this back and forth that never gets resolved. Now, what else hasn't changed is people are still using pronouns to describe themselves. Yes, there has been executive orders passed to take it away out of our schools, and those are good things. And so I give credit where credit is due. That is a good thing that is being reversed on a federal level. But what has been taken away from us? Well, the technocracy has risen to its highest level ever, with all these oligarchs, tech billionaires, perfectly poised to hit the gas pedal on the technocracy. We now have the legalization of unidentified drones flying around at night, which are obviously surveilling people. And these are the beginnings of the total technocracy. And they'll say they have to do this for peace and security. And if you're not doing anything wrong, then don't worry about it. Now, there are some tangible positives that are happening. One, illegal immigration has stopped, right? That's a good thing. Give credit where credit is due. And over time, this may improve our quality of life over time and the efficiency of the economy. Trump, there were a lot of stories that he read, case studies of real people that got murdered and killed by illegals. And there are probably countless stories. So these are improvements in our quality of life over time. And two, our children are no longer being programmed in liberal states with critical race theory and gender and all this stuff. So got to give credit for that, as well as transgender sports. All this is being done away with. No other politician could get that done. But understand that oftentimes these hotbed issues, which were obviously terrible policies to begin with, oftentimes they're implemented to get a reaction from the American people so that another politician can come in behind them and be the hero. So that's what I personally believe is happening right now. Those policies could have never, ever stood the test of time to begin with. And so now Trump is the hero, isn't he? He's got a lot of people convinced that since he was able to do away with all this stuff, that they're going to listen to pretty much everything else he says, even if it's to the detriment of America. Now, Trump also talked about gas and oil leases to reduce energy costs. Let's go back in here to the transcript. Now, of course, this is good, right? But here's the truth of the matter. Let me page search leases. Okay, here we go. Here's what he had to say about leases. And the truth of the matter is that we have made enough oil in our own country to be self-sufficient. Here it is right here. United States has enough recoverable oil to last about 50 years if we were to stop importing oil from the Persian Gulf. So we have enough oil. And if I was the president, I would stop importing and exporting all this oil. Anytime you start moving things around, importing, exporting, that is a cost associated with it. Why are we still importing and exporting our own oil? Why are we still selling our oil to other countries and buying oil from yet other countries? And this is the vicious cycle of why gas prices fluctuate. So to end this insanity, all Trump would have to do is stop all imports and exports of oil, set the price at a super low rate, go back to $1 a gallon. And what would that do for the economy? Well, it would obviously ignite the economy, wouldn't it? It would be immediately more money in the pockets of all middle-class Americans who have to drive around and commute back and forth to work, as well as more people would go on vacation, more people would drive across the country. Do you see how these are the things that we need on our level? They're not thinking about us on our level. They're thinking about themselves. Let's start only using our own gas and oil. Well, Casey will run out of oil. Well, he's got all these tech billionaires. Instead of flying to Mars, come up with an alternative energy source. And I'm not talking about electric, unless you find a different way to do it. If you want to give us the free energy and pull it out of the atmosphere, I'm down for that. But I'm not down for battery technology, which sucks. So I think in 50 years, tech billionaires, instead of working on robotic armies of workers and brain chips and Mars, start working on a real alternative energy source and infrastructure before we run out of oil. Now, I know some of you believe we could never run out of oil, and I'm kind of with you on that, but I always take the more conservative route when talking about some of these scenarios. That way you can see the sense in it all, right? Because doesn't that make sense? Set the price at $1 a gallon and get everybody some oil so we can jumpstart our economy, so we could put money directly back into the pockets of the American people without handing out checks, right? So what else has Trump done that's positive? Well, he restarted the Alaskan gas pipeline project, which again is a very good thing. That's fantastic. Now let's keep going with this. There's more. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the speech, but there were some bombshells. Now, a large part of the speech was Trump reiterating and summarizing again the fraud and waste that Musk found. And let's hope that that translates into huge tax cuts for the middle class. And I'm going to repeat this again because this is vitally important. This self-employment tax of 15% is a travesty. Okay? This should not be happening in America. I was shocked. YouTube pays me a little bit, to, through the ads that you guys watch on the channel. And it comes in the form of a 1099. And it doesn't matter if I make $5,000 in a year, or it doesn't matter if I make $25,000 in a year. Right off the top, self-employment tax is 15%, and that doesn't take into account any expenses that you have. That should not be happening. Now, what else is going on? Well, apparently, you're not going to like this, and I'm really upset about this thing that Trump said as well. He is now allowing rich foreigners to come into our country and buy their citizenship. This is insane. For $5 billion, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S. citizenship. It's like the green card, but better and more sophisticated. Notice how he sells this. He's essentially speaking on a ninth grade reading level so that he can appeal to people and get them to, essentially accept this. Now, what is wrong with this? Oh, Casey, this should be a good thing. At least there's not criminals coming in. So now we have foreign oligarchs to join the oligarchy? I don't like this at all. You guys, money already buys everything else. So now this is personal. This is our country. Just because you have money, you shouldn't be able to come in here and get your citizenship and then create jobs in our country. That's not making America great. That's a world globalist agenda. And it's a different kind of invasion, isn't it? Now, I knew that the other shoe would drop on this immigration thing, because in order for Trump to allow this, he had to do something about immigration, didn't he? So now we know why. Now we're going to get all the rich people from China. We're going to get all the rich people from the United Arab Emirates and all the rich people from all the countries in the world. They pay their $5 million, and then they get to come in here and bring whoever they want to work in their plants. And now all of a sudden America is going to look like something very, very different. And you guys, rich people are the ones running much of the organized crime in America. We already know this. We already know it. And I don't want foreigners coming into America to build wealth. What I want is the quality of life of middle Americans like ourselves to improve significantly for the amount of effort that we put into our businesses and work. Right? Now, what else is going on? Let's keep reading about this gold card. He says it's like the green card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs. They'll also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country. What the heck? This sounds like a Ponzi scheme if I ever heard one. Wow. Now, Trump also says that he's going to reduce the debt with the money he gets from these people. But the debt is a number that has nothing to do with our daily lives. Once again, this is way above our pay grades, right? Until they start cutting our taxes and lowering our food prices, all of this is just a Ponzi scheme in my opinion. And I'm not even sure I believe the national debt numbers, to be honest with you. But Trump says he's going to use all this money from these foreigners to balance the budget. So Trump does say he is going to implore Congress to give us these tax cuts. And we'll see if they do and how much and when that happens. I would expect our taxes to drop in half. If our taxes dropped in half, then I will give Trump credit for all these savings and all these, schemes that he's come up with to save money and balance the budget. Drop our taxes in half, and I will agree with this. Now, here's what else I think he should do. I believe that homes that have no mortgages or homes that seniors live in should be completely tax exempt. Okay? So that your home that you paid for can never be taken away from you. Now, I understand if you're in a mortgage because essentially the bank owns your house, right? But once you've worked all those years and paid off that house, you shouldn't have to pay any taxes on that because that's a looming threat to where that house can be taken away from you. And I feel like Trump needs to get that done. Now, let's move on. Apparently, several car plants are going to be built, which will create jobs in those areas. And that's a good thing. Now, it's interesting because before Trump was elected, we said that it should be illegal for huge American companies to offshore jobs. John Deere was the example we gave. And I said, that's impossible. They can't just take away thousands of jobs and send them to Mexico. That should be illegal. So, again, give Trump credit. He did it a different way. He created economic conditions to allegedly bring back some of these plants to America. So I guess we should give it some time. We're 43 days into this, and we'll see if there's a surge of well-paying jobs. Now, here's something interesting. Trump gave a shout out to Melania. This was weird. And apparently she started some new fostering program or something. Guess what the name of it is? The First Lady's Fostering the Future Initiative. FFF 666. Are these people serious? Now, what is this all about? What is this program that Melania is involved in, and why did Trump give her a shout out? Well, apparently they were responsible for the Take It Down Act, which is all about revenge corn, we're going to call it. But you know what I'm really saying. But is this a good thing? Well, you would think it is because they've shrouded it in a different agenda, right? Because nobody would agree that revenge corn is okay. But check this out. This is really about something else, I believe. The bill makes it unlawful for a person to knowingly publish or threaten to publish NCII on social media and other online platforms. NCII is defined to include realistic, computer-generated pornographic images and videos that depict identifiable real people. So what could be the problem with this? Let me go into the chat and see what you guys think. I know what I think already. Good morning, everybody. What do you guys think the problem is with that act? And this is, in fact, this is why I believe that they leaked those images of Melania from when she was younger, the nude pics, because I believe that this was all a setup to get this act passed. Now, here's my thoughts on this. Anybody can claim that an image of themselves was digitally altered, and it can be taken down. What does this do? It protects the elite from their crimes. Because let's say there's some victim who saved a text message or something from Epstein, let's use him as an example, and could show what was happening. They'll simply say that was digitally altered. I mean, who gets to decide what's real and what's not? Right? And so under this act, that would be taken down and nobody would ever know the truth. So this is the problem that I have with this act. Now, let's keep going. We're going to expand on this whole thing about the cartels. Because remember, to get this stuff passed, They always have to shroud it in something else. This is their playbook. And Trump, of course, has designated these cartels as terrorists, right? Now, to me, this sounds a lot like the Patriot Act. Essentially, if there is a cartel member suspected, they don't need a warrant. They can detain indefinitely, and basically they can forfeit all the rights of that person. And guess what? This means they can go bust down doors, shoot on sight, and all kinds of other things covered under the act, the Patriot Act. Now, Trump talks about, oh, these people are embedded in our society. Well, that's a huge red flag. And that he's going to have to weed them out of American life, and that this should be a long process. To me, this sounds a lot like Gaza 2.0 and all the atrocities that were justified under that. I guess time will tell if these executive actions spill over into the loss of American freedoms. Time will tell. Now, Trump then vowed to remove all of the toxins from our environment, to cut down on child cancer and autism and all that. But it's interesting, though, he failed to mention the millions that dropped dead from the it that he made. Now, here is the bombshell and what was in the title of this show today. Trump took our idea of naming the Iron Dome the Golden Dome. Here it is right here, you guys. Now, we said this back on February 12th. I got a screenshot of it here. This is the video that we uploaded on February 12th. Look at this. You would think that when someone predicts what a president's going to do, these videos should have millions of views, right? This is sitting at 8,000 views. And we literally in the title called this Trump's Golden Dome, and I told you why it would be named the Golden Dome eventually. And here we are. Almost a month later, and Trump has literally renamed it the Golden Dome. Let's read about what he had to say. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA. Ronald Reagan wanted to do it a long time ago, but the technology just wasn't there. Not even close. But now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually. Wow. So this almost sounds like maybe in advance past Israel's Iron Dome, right? Interesting. So we'll have to see how all this shakes out. Now, it's crazy because we had been telegraphing Trump's moves before, right? And we were already telling you what was going to happen since the beginning of when he came onto the political scene. And this is what you're going to see on tomorrow's show, a re-upload in which before he was ever president, we told you he would be president, and we told you exactly what was going to happen. And it's all happening right now. In fact, we specifically warned about artificial intelligence. What was the first thing Trump did? Stargate AI. So that's going to be a huge re-upload tomorrow. You're going to see that we have been telegraphing Trump's moves from the beginning. And of course, all the glory to God for revealing these truths before they are spoken by Trump. And I believe God does this so that people can see through the deception. It gives legitimacy to the channel because we already know their agenda before they even speak it, right? Now, next, Trump doubles down on Greenland. So apparently Greenland isn't just, a red herring. He talks about him making the case to the people of Greenland to do a deal with them. And he says he wants Greenland for international and national security. Now, to what end, we can only imagine. But he promises to make the people of Greenland rich in exchange for a partnership or a takeover. Wish he could do that for even a fraction of the working poor in America, right? I thought America was first. Why are we going to make the people of Greenland rich? when we can't even pay a working wage, a living wage, to Americans who work 40, 60, 80 hours a week. Oh, wow. Now, toward the end of the speech, Trump promises peace and security in the Ukraine. And he talks about Zelensky actually finally agreeing to this mineral deal in exchange for Trump making a deal to end the world war. Then he goes on to say that the assassination attempt against him, that he was saved by God to make America great again. Whoa. Pretty crazy, right? Let's go down to that part here. I believe that my life was saved that day in Butler for a very good reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Now, at the end of the speech, Trump ends it with a lot of positivity. This is pretty convincing. I will admit, Trump is a great orator. He repeats the whole fight, fight, fight tagline, which of course is FFF 666. He repeats the golden age tagline as well. And you know what? If I didn't believe in biblical prophecy, then you could easily be sucked into this, couldn't you? Because it sounds like a really good thing. I'll put a link to this transcript. There were two noticeable things that he did not mention in the speech. And this should give you pause. Nowhere in here does he double down on Stargate AI. Remember, this was huge when he announced this. He brought all the billionaires out and they're all working on it together, but yet there's no mention of it in here at all. There's also no mention of the Epstein files, which I firmly believe are now being scrubbed as we speak to remove his name and his associations and all the flights with on the, the Lolita Express. I believe all that's being taken out so that it will not derail his presidency, because if people knew the truth, they would feel probably differently. Now, let's get into this film, City of Ember, because it's all about Trump. It's another movie about the end of the world, the City of Embers. It's an underground city. Here is the Wikipedia page. An underground city locked away for 200 years. They're trapped. And there's a key inside of a lockbox, and the timer on the lockbox is set to 200 years. Except something happens with 47 years left. You're not going to believe this. Remember, Trump's the 47th president. He says Christians won't have to ever vote again. We also have the book from the 1800s called The Last President. And there's a Trump in there mentioned. Baron Trump. This is weird, you guys. What's this about? Well, let's break this down. Now let's play this first.
None knew what secrets it held, only that it would open when it was needed most. As the years counted down, the box passed from mayor to mayor, and the chain was broken. But fate ran another course.
Wow. With 47 left, 47 years, that's got to be the 47th president. Now, we saw this number 47 as it relates to a president, of an underground city. We saw this in the TV series that we just decoded called Paradise. We just decoded this, you guys, like 3 or 4 days ago. And in that TV series, there was a last president as well who wore a jersey number 47. This has to be talking about Trump. Now, I don't know this for sure. I don't know if he's going to be the last president, but he said it with his own lips. You won't have to vote again. So it makes you wonder, right? Now, to confirm this number 47, there's an actress in this movie called City of Ember. Her name is Mary Kay Place. And she plays the main character, Lena's foster mother. And she was born in 1947 on 9/23, September 23rd. She's now 77 years old. Her numbers are loaded for exactly this point in history that we finally decoded this film. Think of the odds of that. It feels supernatural, doesn't it? Now, who plays the last president in this movie? None other than Bill Murray. He was born 99 days after Trump. Their birthdays are 99 days apart. Remember the president in the TV series Paradise? He was born 96 days from Trump. Let's keep watching here. Unbelievable. So here's the underground city, not as magnificent as the Paradise TV series. That one looked like a utopia. This looks like some kind of steampunk. As you can see, it's got the same light overhead, just like in Paradise, where they had the sun, the artificial sun on a track. Well, this just has multiple lights all over, but they zoom in on one, which seems like the artificial sun. And here's Bill Murray as the president. They call him the mayor, but you see with spiritual eyes. Born 99 days from Trump. This is unbelievable. Here, I punched it into the date calendar here. Here's Trump's birthday, 6/14. And then Bill Murray says 9/21. And as you can see here, it is 99 days. The 99 is essentially the 66. So it pairs these men together. 96 is also 66 because 6 is 9. Okay. Now, let's keep watching here. Now, Bill Murray is essentially speaking at what they call assignment day. And this is where they give everybody their new roles. The children, they get their jobs, their life job that they're stuck in for life. Let's keep watching.
Congratulations on achieving this momentous occasion.
You all right, Mr. Thomas?
Now, at this point, the city experiences blackouts because there's a main generator down below and it basically starts to give out. Just like in Paradise, they had blackouts too, remember? And these blackouts are actually happening right now. In places like California, the PG&E just shuts off the power. They tell you it's to reduce fire risk. Well, guess what? I grew up in California, and this never happened before. They didn't just shut off the power to reduce quote-unquote fire threats. Now, to confirm what I'm saying, please, 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 in the chat, I want you to, chime in and tell us if where you live in the United States has also had blackouts due to bizarre reasons. Just the power company just shutting off the power. Go ahead and put that in there and let's watch this blackout part right here.
You all right, Mr. Thomas?
Just another blackout, Lena.
Now, what nobody realizes is that the lockbox has already opened. They've already gotten to the 2,000 years. The key to get out of this place is accessible, but it's been so far removed that nobody realizes what the box is, what it does. They just feel like they're going to live their whole life down there. So the city of Ember becomes this electric kingdom. And you can see it right here in the actual logo, City of Ember. It's a lightning bolt. And there's lightning bolts all over this thing. You guys were living this now. We're in the electric kingdom. Now, the girl you just saw, her name is Lena. And she finds the lockbox. Here's some more images of this medallion. It's got 7 lightning bolts on it, as you can see here. And like a wheel that turns. That the last president wears. Keep watching here. So again, Lena finds the lockbox.
I know it must
Add a
be.
T.
What?
Add a T. EXIT.
And inside the lockbox are these instructions. But she has to piece them together because they've been all torn up over time. And the instructions tell them exactly how to leave Ember City. But there are some letters missing. And so she and her friend realize that the letter that is missing is the word T, or the letter T in the word exit. Now this is creepy. Of all the letters that they choose T like Trump, the last president, 47. This is weird, you guys. Let's play this back again. Now, where are they right now? Well, each person in the city has a job. This particular, her grandmother's job is the yarn lady. So her job is to make yarn. So there's yarn everywhere.
What?
Add a T. EXIT. Exit.
What if there's an exit from Ember?
This begs the question, doesn't it? The exit. We've talked about the exit, haven't we? Let me go back into the chat for a second. Some of you are just blown away. You're like, Casey, this is crazy. We've talked about the exit sign, haven't we? It appears in iPetGoat 2. There's a classroom and there's an exit door and it's jarred open. We also saw the exit in Back to the Future and many other movies. We did a whole video on the exit symbolism because exit in reverse is time. It's actually TIXE, but the X doubles it as the letter M, and they're trying to X out time. So is Trump the exit, or will the exit happen on his watch? This could be a false rapture. I don't know what these people are up to, you guys, but we need to take note of it. The symbolism is clear. It's missing the letter T in the word exit. Now, let's keep going. At this point, Lena, this is Lena, and this is Dune. His name is Dune, and you're going to see the archetype that Dune is, because I believe that he is Elon Musk. He's the Elon Musk archetype, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. But essentially, Lena finds out that the mayor is hoarding food. But she's not able to alert anybody in the rest of the city of Ember. But listen to how the mayor justifies what he's done. Listen to how he justifies the corruption. And it almost to me sounds like Trump, who sold America out to the billionaires.
Will we count down to nothing? It sounds like doomsday. That's what scares me the most.
Accuse me of what?
She wants to accuse you of stealing food from the people of Ember.
I love my city and everyone in it. And I would never think to do such a thing.
We saw your room. We saw you in it.
So it's all about making people feel good and just pretty much lying straight to their face. We care about you. We care about you. Right? We do this for you. Now, let's keep going. This is her friend Dune. Doon. Dune Harrow is his name, Harrow. And they start to read the instructions of how to escape the city of Ember. And they find this contraption, which looks like Elon Musk's boring machine. Let's take a look. What the heck is going on here, you guys? This is the boring machine right here in plain sight. This was from 2008. This movie came out. Now, Dune also works in what they call pipe works. That's his job that he's given. And he has to be the Elon Musk archetype. Now, there's more proof of that here. Because Dune uses the key, which is shaped like an X, and he gets through many doors with this X key that was found inside the lockbox. Watch. The cards. This is crazy.
It wasn't one room we were looking for. It was L.
The key even has electric freaking symbols on it. Lightning bolts. Just like the Tesla. I wish I was making all this up, but obviously I'm not. If you haven't figured it out by now. Okay? God has gifted this channel and all of you on the channel because you guys are the ones who actually told me to watch this film. And you know who you are. Please chime in. You nailed it. All I did was watch the film and collect the screenshots. Oh, Casey's controlled opposition. Okay, so as the person that sent me this film to decode controlled opposition, like you can't have it both ways. And you guys, when you see people bad-mouthing this channel, and the only thing they can say is he's a shill or he's, controlled opposition, and they're offering no proof of any of that. They're just dividing the community. You can do one of two things. You can unsubscribe from those channels, which you should just already have done. I don't even know why people follow those channels that spend all their time basically accusing other channels. And you can report those videos because as last I checked, you're not allowed to talk negatively about other YouTube channels. That's called harassment. You can click on the 3 dots next to their video and report them for harassment because that's weird that people make whole channels just harassing other channels. So, one of you told me to watch this film. That's how we find this stuff.
You said!
Now, this is Bill Murray, of course, and as he starts to feel his power slipping away, he tries to hide in his underground bunker, which is, of course, stocked full of food, but he gets eaten by a giant mutant mole. Watch. Now, Lena and Dune finally escape in a boat, which was disguised as a locker, which was weird. They go into the locker room and pull down the locker, and it's a boat on the other side. And they ride these boats down this waterway, which looks a lot like the Pirates of the Caribbean, like the Disney ride, right? And they emerge above ground. And first, it's all dark. But then, a new dawn. Wow, watch.
All of us who kept the flame of Ember burning through the darkness so that we could live again on the earth.
Wow, right? And as I said, this movie was all about Trump, the 47th, and possibly the last president. Again, time will tell. I don't like to date set. I don't like to make absolutes, but I like to show you the evidence so you can see it for yourself. So at least you can be prepared for all this. Tomorrow will be a re-upload from July of last year in which I told you Trump would win the second term. And I told you exactly what was going to happen once he won the second term. The video is chilling. It's so accurate that it even creeped me out when I went to find it. Here we are. It's all playing out. So join me tomorrow for the re-upload of that video from last year, July, in which I told you Trump will be the next president. I'm in the chat now, you guys. Good morning. Whoa, that was a big show today, wasn't it? Please share this video. We can only make a difference if other people see the stuff, right? I appreciate you guys that show up every day, but we've got to expand this channel out to a lot more people than have been seeing it. This is why I don't think censorship is really over, like Trump said it was, because, you know, as all of you always say, Casey, your channel should have 1 million subscribers. Good morning. Yeah, the flame of Ember is occult ancient Babylonian witchcraft knowledge. Thanks, Red Stripe, for that additional information. You know, I thought about, they don't explain what Ember means until the very end of the film, because I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, what are they getting at with this Ember thing? And then I figured it out. So the Ember really is, as far as the movie goes anyway, it's the dying light of the generator, the dying electricity of the generator, because had they not escaped from this underground place, it would have become their prison, because the generator was dying, the lights were flickering. So it's like an ember, right? That's barely alive. But then the ember is reborn. As soon as it hits air and oxygen, it can create an entirely new fire. And this is why we have to run for the hills when Trump's talking about a golden age, right? Because with the golden age, with a new fire, you have to destroy everything first, don't you? Everything has to be destroyed first before we go into a golden age. And this is what I'm concerned about when he keeps talking about this golden age. Yes, an ember is a small remnant of a fire. All right, what else is going on, you guys? We can hang out for a few more minutes here. Did anyone have any, oh, that's a good one, Marcy. Remember the 5th of November. Yes. Remember is the last 4 letters in the word Ember. We decoded a film called Ember, didn't we? It was all about people losing their memory, amnesia. And they literally had to set reminders for themselves. And it was caused by a virus. And it starred John Ritter, I believe. And we're like, oh, Ember is the last 5 letters in the word remember. Yeah, so check out that Ember decode that we did. It's vitally important, and it must fit into all this as well. Yes, the fire brings forth new growth. Correct, Ike Deal. So, all right, you guys, anything else? Stillwater says, we are the Embers. Yes, Trump cited his 5th of November speech. Forgot to mention that. You're absolutely correct. September. Yes, Zuzu's Petals. Good job. September. Electric Avenue, Eddie Grant. About electrical kingdoms. Thanks, Dick. Okay. You almost wonder if this is all programming for an EMP or a huge blackout. Why do you think they're already, preconditioning people to accept just a random blackout to protect us from fire, right? Okay. So if you've experienced an electric company blackout due to fire reasons, please chime in. I'd like to know if this is happening outside of California and also California as well, in your area. The phoenix rising from the ashes. Yes, Jam, that's absolutely part of it as well. Yes, and maybe out of the EMP blackout, that will be the rising out of the ashes, the golden age. But in order to do it, we would have to give up a lot of rights. Why did Melania and Michelle Obama say the same First Lady speech on their first inaugurations? Good question, Marcy. Because they're all on the same side. San Diego has blackouts during the wind. Thanks, Love Cat. Now, you've probably lived there for a long time. When did this phenomenon start? It started under the first Trump presidency, didn't it? This isn't something that I grew up remembering. Power companies don't just shut off the power. PG&E turns off grids in fire zones. Many complaints during non-fire season. There you go. So you know we're not making all this up. This is really happening. That's just a cover story. Them turning off the power. They're preconditioning people to accept blackouts is what they're doing. And they'll come up with a different excuse in other places. If there's no fire risk, they'll come up with a different excuse as to why they just randomly turn the power off. Hawaii blackouts recently from low winds in sporadic areas. Thanks, Ricky. Rolling blackout started in California with PG&E under Trump. Thank you for confirming that. PG&E lost a lawsuit, so rather than fix their lines, they shut off power. Yes, and understand that's just a cover story. They're programming us to accept it. And they even in some of the communications, they say, oh, be prepared. Make sure you have plenty of water and food. And I'm seeing stories about canned food now. I don't know if you guys are seeing stories about canned food. They're now trying to say that canned food is nutritious and which kinds of canned food that you should buy. It's like they're preparing us for the apocalypse or something. Getting us used to blackouts. The writing's on the wall. All right. All right, you guys. Well, I guess I'm going to pop off here. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. This is a huge show today. I expect this to get out to a lot of people. It will help wake people up. I try to give it fair balance. I gave Trump credit where credit is due, but also we got to call him out on the other stuff too, right? Have a great rest of your day, you guys. Much love. Take care.